You walk into the room and something shifts, not in the air, but under it. People don't know why they sit up straighter. They don't know why their phones feel heavier. They don't know why they look at you and then away. You haven't said a thing. Because the most dangerous mind in any room doesn't raise its voice. It raises a standard. Not the kind you hang on a wall, the kind you carry inside your ribs. A banner no one sees but everyone feels. Tonight we're going to rip that banner open. The mindset of a brotherhood that outlived kings, outmaneuvered empires, slept on stone, rode into storms, and smiled at debts that would break ordinary men. A mindset forged under vows, polished by discipline, betrayed by the world, and still whispering through centuries like a blade behind velvet. Not myths, not conspiracy boards, not a costume, a code. You're not joining an order. You're not getting a cape. You're building the only fortress the world can't burn, your mind. Stay with me to the end, because the last turn changes how you carry your name tomorrow morning. It's the kind of change that never needs an announcement. It just shows up in your posture. It shows up when you don't flinch. It shows up when you know what to do, when everyone else is refreshing a feed. You've heard of the Knights Templar, banker's warriors, pilgrim's shield, rich, then ruined, holy, then hunted. But here's what matters for you. The world will always try to decide what you are and then punish you for believing it. The Templar answer wasn't to argue. It was to get so focused, so coordinated, so disciplined, the world had to move around them like water around a ship. That's the mindset we're building. Silent leverage, not noise. Architecture. And architecture begins by selecting your foundation. The first stone, choose a vow no one can see. They wore white, but that wasn't the vow. They rode together, but that wasn't the vow. They were feared, but that wasn't the vow. The vow was internal, poverty of distraction. They didn't own what owned them. That starts with you. Your vow isn't about money. It's about mental rent. If something lives in your head and doesn't pay you back in strength, it's out. Old grudge? Evicted? Doom scroll? Gone? Drama, barefoot in the snow. Every day you audit, not your calories, not your inbox, not your steps, your attention. When you make your mind expensive, your time becomes priceless. People will think you're cold. Let them. It's not cold. It's quiet. And quiet is where power makes decisions. The second stone, build in threes. Templars traveled in units that could move, decide, and survive without permission from a faraway comfort. You do the same. 3 priorities for the day, not 12. 3. 3 people who can reach you, and everyone else can wait. 3 contingencies for any mission that matters. Plan A, Plan B, and Plan we walk away, and no one ever knows. Why 3? 1 is brittle. 2 is a coin toss. 3 is a triangle. Triangles don't beg the wind for mercy. Stack enough triangles and you get a pyramid. Weight becomes leverage. The third stone, control your weather. Templars walked deserts and blizzards with the same face. You don't control the climate. You control the forecast on your face. This is not about pretending you don't feel. It's about refusing to broadcast things that make you easy to steer. When anger roars, give it a chair. Don't give it the reins. When fear presses the glass, hand it a task. Count the exits. Name the risk. Assign a deadline. You are not a rock. You are a keep. Thick walls, warm fire, clear sightlines. A mind like that disorients bullies. They don't know where to push. Now we get to the part no one wants to practice because it isn't sexy. It doesn't glitter on a reel. It looks like repetition. It looks like boredom. It is the Armory. Templars didn't reach for courage when the door splintered. They reached for habits. You need the same, and you won't like the first one. Habit 1, make your bed like a barracks, not because you love neat corners, because standards travel. If your morning begins with close enough, it ends the same way. Close enough is how bridges crack. It's how reputations leak. It's how you become the person who always almost does things. You don't almost put a blade back in its sheath. You don't almost send a wire. If you want to be unshakable in the big moments, practice being uncompromising in small ones. Habit 2, carry less, carry sharper. Templars rode with enough to survive and nothing to slow the charge. What are your heavy saddlebags? Software you don't use. Projects you won't finish. A second phone that owns the first. Delete. Donate. Delegate. Minimalism is not an aesthetic. It's a strategy. Every item you carry demands a decision. Your day dies of 1,000 tiny cuts. What survives? The blade you actually draw. The book you actually read twice. The number you actually call. Habit 3, the hour of lead. 1 hour a day when you do the hardest thing first, without witness or applause. It could be training, it could be writing, it could be practicing a skill you're not good at and hate to admit. You don't broadcast it. You don't make it a persona. You stack it unbroken until it becomes oxygen. Why? Because when you keep promises no one knows about, you become dangerous in the ways no one can measure. A person who doesn't need to be seen to be consistent is a person no algorithm can leash. So far, your fortress stands. But a fortress without roads is a tomb. Templars weren't monks hiding in stone. They were bridges between cities, currencies, languages. They built networks that moved faster than armies and safer than kings. They made distance small. Here's how you build that without touching a map. Make your name an escrow. Templars became trusted not by begging for trust, but by holding it. People moved coin through them because it was safer to lose a horse than a reputation. Your name is your vault. You don't store secrets. You store reliability. If you say yes, the other person stops thinking about it. If you say no, they stop hoping. Most people do the opposite. Cloudy yes, silent no. They burn goodwill and call it being busy. You're different. You reply with clarity. You don't ghost. You don't breadcrumb. Your word turns into a policy, not a mood. That's not just being nice. That's compound interest on your identity. Borrow power from places, not people. Templars borrowed power from their rule, not a prince's smile. You do the same. Attach yourself to systems that punish impulse and reward consistency. Gym at the same time with the same key. Workflows that work without inspiration. Calendars that don't care how you feel. When you rely on a person's approval, you inherit their storms. When you rely on a structure, you inherit its gravity. Speak in receipts. Templars were early masters of the note, the check, the proof. In your world, document, not in a paranoid way, in a precise way. After meetings, send the line, here's what we agreed, here's what I'll do, here's what you'll do, here's the date. Not because you expect betrayal, because clarity is an armor that doesn't squeak. People who fear paper fear themselves. Now we turn to something harder. Templars weren't loved because they didn't audition. They didn't refit their shape to fit a seat. You think that makes life lonely. It doesn't. It makes life simple. The 4 chairs. In every situation, mentally place 4 chairs. The chair of mission asks, does this serve the standard? The chair of mercy asks, can I carry more without resenting it? The chair of law asks, what's the boundary and what happens if it breaks? The chair of exit asks, how do we leave clean if we must? You never sit in all four. You choose. Most people collapse them into one. How do I feel right now? And call it authenticity. That's not authenticity. That's weather. Templars kept separate chairs so decisions didn't get drunk on the room's temperature. Try it. The next time someone asks you for something you can't give, answer from the chair of mission, or the chair of mercy, or law, but never from fog. The rope test. Templars tied rope with gloves on because fingers fail when fear rises. You practice the same with your life. Can you do it blind? Can you draft the hard email without pacing? Can you say no, that doesn't align without 10 paragraphs of apology? Can you walk away from an unfair deal without explaining your childhood, your schedule, your stress? If not, you're tied to explanations like a hawk to a bell. Cut them. Speak plain. Silence will do the rest. You're thinking, this sounds extreme. It is, but the world you want doesn't belong to the comfortable. It belongs to the consistent, and consistency gets lonely. Templars understood that. They solved it with brotherhood. Now listen closely, because this isn't about making a friend group. This is about building a circle where steel sharpens steel without sparks becoming fires. Choose your 9, not 100 contacts. 9. One who tells you you're wrong in a way that makes you grateful. One who works when you sleep, so busy stops being a brag and becomes a baseline. One whose life makes yours look small, so your ceiling breaks without resentment. One who laughs at the things that would paralyze others. One who forgives fast and forgets slow. So loyalty is not a speech. It's a habit, one who reads contracts like poems, one who eats last without asking who noticed, one who believes in something larger than their name, one who knew you before you were interesting. You don't collect them, you invest in them. You don't test them with traps, you test them with time. You don't require uniformity, you require unity. Templars wore the same cross, not the same face. Brotherhood without gossip. Here's a law. In your circle, problems go down, not sideways. If you have an issue, you take it to the person who can fix it, not the person who can enjoy it. Gossip is cheap courage. It burns slow and costs a city. You replace it with reports and requests. This broke. Here's how. I failed. Here's what I'm correcting. She's excellent. Promote her. A circle like that is rare. People will try to infiltrate it with jokes that cut. Laugh twice, then go quiet. The message will travel where it needs to. We need to talk about money because Templars turn trust into currency and currency into reach and reach into missions that didn't depend on mood swings in palaces. Here's how you think about money like a Templar without losing your soul. Money is a mule, not a mirror. If money makes you feel taller, you were short before you had it. If money makes you feel smaller, you handed it your spine. Money is a transport animal. Treat it well. Load it precisely. Don't fall in love. You send it to build things that hold when your hands can't. You send it to solve problems your strength shouldn't. You send it to keep your family warm, your books dry, your tools oiled. You don't ask it who you are. The ledger of trade-offs. Templars wrote what came in and what went out, not because numbers are sacred, but because clarity is. You create 2 ledgers. A ledger of coin, income, costs, investments, cash. Simple, exact, boring. A ledger of costs that coin can't pay. Attention, sleep, resentment, trust. Also simple, also exact. Any deal that profits the first ledger and empties the second is debt, not gain. A Templar doesn't sign those deals. They would rather build slower than bleed silently. The 5 vaults. Forget one bank. Build 5 vaults across your life. Skills you can sell without permission. Relationships that open doors without a key. Reputation that gets you the benefit of the doubt. Liquidity for winter. Health that doesn't whisper. It roars. If one vault cracks, the others hold. That's not paranoia. That's architecture. At this point, you look different. You sound different. People will accuse you of play acting, of cosplaying virtue, of being too intense. Smile. Then pass the next test. Carry the cross and the smile. Templars were serious because life is serious, but they didn't make seriousness a mask. You don't punish the room with your standards. You walk in with a lightness that tells people, you are safe here. I am dangerous, but not to you. You laugh. You make things easy. You carry weight without calling a parade. If you must be feared by your enemies. If you must be felt as gravity, not as thunder. Know when to kneel. Templars knelt in chapel before they stood in court. You kneel too, not necessarily to a faith, though you may, but to something that shrinks your ego and enlarges your duty. When you kneel, your victories stop being about you. They become offerings. When they're offerings, you protect them with humility. People who kneel well stand taller. I promised you the last turn. The turn that decides whether you become a cold statue or a warm force. Here it is. Mercy is not weakness. It's aim. Templars were accused of many things. Mercy was rarely one. But the most lethal Templar had a mercy the frightened can't imagine. Mercy for the ignorant. Mercy for the exhausted. Mercy for the version of themselves from 6 months ago who didn't know better. Mercy isn't softness. It's precision. You don't shatter every cup to prove your stone. You choose what to break. So when you judge like a surgeon with a glove. Cut only what kills. The laziness that hides inside charm. Cut it. The habit that drains your team and calls itself creative. Cut it. The deal that rots your sleep. Cut it. The lie you tell yourself to avoid the first step. Cut it. Everything else, teach it, hug it, or ignore it entirely. Mercy doesn't slow you down. It stops you from becoming the thing you fight. Now we descend into the catacombs because what you believe in private is the only thing that survives public storms. These are the rooms under your mind where you hang your armor and ask yourself the questions no one else will. Walk with me. Room 1, the oath you keep when you're embarrassed. Everyone is brave in a war story. The Templar oath is for stupid Tuesdays. When you fail, you don't perform a swan dive into excuses. You write the failure down like an address. You go to the address tomorrow with a hammer. You fix it in silence. Embarrassment is a kind of fever. Sweat it out in work, not words. Room 2, the candle you light for someone who will never repay you. Pick a person who can't help your career, your brand, your feed. Help them anyway. Why? Because charity shifts gravity. When you help without headlines, your mind remembers it is rich. That memory makes you immune to desperation. Desperation is the devil's lever on talented people. Room 3, the gallery of your dead ends. Templars kept records of losses as well as wins. You keep a wall where you hang the projects you killed and why. People will call it depressing. It isn't. It's honest. It stops you from resurrecting bad ideas with nostalgia. It forces you to bury them properly so they don't haunt your next move. Every time you add a frame, you get lighter. Room 4, the library of first principles. What do you believe about work, about love, about risk, about time, not quotes, principles, simple enough to be written on a shield. Earn before you announce. Never be irreplaceable at a task. Be irreplaceable at a standard. Don't argue values. Demonstrate them. If it isn't a yes, it's a no with respect. Protect mornings. Leave clean. Revisit the library monthly. Burn a dogma if reality beats it in a fair fight. Add one law only after it survives your worst week. Room 5, the armory of words you refuse. Templars took vows. You take one with vocabulary. Banish these phrases and watch your spine grow. I'm just being honest when you mean I'm being careless. I didn't have time when you mean I didn't choose it. That's just how I am when you mean I'm tired of changing. It's complicated when you mean I'm afraid to be clear. Your words build walls you have to live behind. Choose stone, not straw. You might ask, what happens when the world turns on you? Because it will. Standards threaten the sloppy. Clarity humiliates the cloudy. Success done simply embarrasses the dramatic. Templars were praised and then prosecuted, crowned and then cuffed. The lesson isn't paranoia, it's posture. Build a plan that survives betrayal. Trust slowly, warmly, but slowly. Ensure your reputation. Keep receipts. Keep witnesses. Keep grace. Design clean exits, contracts, not promises, competence, not charm. Diversify who can ruin you. If one person's no destroys your life, that's not a relationship. That's a leash. If betrayal comes, you don't tweet, you don't panic, you don't stage a bonfire. You survive, you rebuild, and you smile because you practiced leaving clean before you needed to. The people meant for you will find your signal in the storm. There's one more thing no one tells you about carrying a Templar mind. It makes joy brighter. People think discipline dims life. They're wrong. Discipline clears the fog between you and joy. A quiet room after a loud day. A book that lands like a hand on your shoulder. A friend who says, I'm here, and doesn't need a speech. A sunset you watch all the way to the last line because your phone stayed in your pocket. These moments aren't small. They are a city you carry. And when joy isn't a crisis you chase, you become impossible to bait. Templars didn't smile less. They smiled cleaner. So, how do you walk into the next room with this? You don't wear a cross. You carry a code. You choose a vow no one can see. You build in threes. You control your weather. You stack habits that don't need applause. You make your name an escrow. You borrow power from structures, not moods. You speak in receipts. You choose your 9 and keep gossip outside the gate. You treat money like a mule and build 5 vaults. You carry a cross and a smile. You kneel to something bigger than your ego. You practice mercy like aim, not weakness. You keep a private cathedral of standards and burn the straw words. You prepare for betrayal without becoming it. You sharpen joy. None of this requires a uniform. All of it requires a decision. The decision to stop auditioning for rooms that can't pay you back. The decision to become a standard others calibrate to without knowing why. The decision to be dangerous in a way that makes people safer. Will you be misunderstood? Yes. Will you be lonely sometimes? Yes. Will you lose the comfort of being everyone's favorite? Certainly. But you will gain something the world's loudest never feel. The steady subterranean hum of purpose. You will cross your own city at night and hear it, under the tires, under the lights, under the chatter, the hum that says, we are moving, we are built well, we will hold. And then one morning, you'll step into a room and watch it happen. People sit up, phones get heavy, eyes find yours, and then flick away like they touched a live wire. You won't smile. Not at first. You'll take your seat. You'll ask one question in a quiet voice, and the room will reorganize around it like iron filings around a magnet. You didn't demand. You didn't perform. You simply carried a standard from a time when men swore to something and then kept it. Not for a week, not for a quarter, for as long as it took. You are not playing a part. You are the part that makes the play honest. And when you leave, because you always leave cleaner than you came, you'll feel it again. That banner under your ribs, not a costume, not a brand, a vow. The world won't know what to call it. It doesn't have to. You'll know. And the people who matter will know, too, because they'll breathe easier when you walk in. They'll say, I don't know what it is, but when they're here, things get better. And you'll ride on, light, fast, and kind, with a fortress in your mind no fire can touch.